My MographFX add-on for Blender has been heavily updated and it has a lot to offer. Along with a new name, it has a ton of new features to go over. First, let's look at what can be done with particle systems. It started as a tool to turn particles to rigid bodies, but the add-ons expanded to do a lot more now. The Particle Animator tool will copy an object or collection to each particle and track its position on every frame, automatically keyframing it for you. It's gone beyond turning them to rigid bodies. You can now tell each particle to begin emitting smoke, fire, or fluids immediately after birth, or delay it by a set amount of frames. You also get to tell it how long to run. Just set the type to inflow and let the add-on handle the rest. You could even make fireflies by telling it to animate material glow on void-type particles. This is one reason we can tell them to begin emitting so many frames after birth. It's cool stuff. It's also possible to now animate with particles in two major ways. First, you can tell particles to go and form a mesh when they die instead of turning into rigid bodies or simulation objects. Each particle will take its place in a mesh once it's been scanned. With support for collections, you can have particles coming in from many angles. This is how I made this sculpture being formed by particles in a vortex. The add-on can even make sure there are enough particles to fill any holes in the mesh. Let wind, vortexes, and turbulence add flair to your animations on the way to the final destination. This works super well with words. The Particle Emit on Death tool is similar, but instead triggers at the time of each particle's death instead of birth. Use this for awesome secondary explosions, or go another level and give it a collection of particles and it'll scan all of them. Do it as many times as your poor PC can handle. On both of my particle tools, you can also animate an object and have that carry over. This works for simple things like scale, but also materials. I got this cool cartoonish explosion effect by simply animating scale and emission on a sphere where each particle sets off the animation cloned in the spot they died. I am in love with the possibilities and look forward to seeing what people make with this. To help your particle simulations, I've also made a neat particle stand-in tool. This can let you create a perfect copy of a mesh or scan and fill a volume at the resolution you choose. The point of this is that you can offset when particles start if they are sorted in a logical order. So you can have a mesh form in from left to right or from its center. It's much faster than using real objects. You can see that on this Suzanne that is made entirely of particles. It was super fast to render thanks to how Blender handles them. In this one, I fired the particles directly forward where they hit a wall where they die. On death, I had fire emit from that spot and scaled up the emitter using the material offset to make them light up after a little time. Since we can tell particles to form a mesh, why not let a collection of objects do the same? This allows particles and collections to form into other objects. So you can start with a particle emitter and tell those particles to be something else, as I did here in this morphing letters animation. There are a ton of possibilities here for motion graphics. This tool will tell objects to go together to form a new shape, but I also have a suite of animation tinkering tools in the add-on. Tell the animation to offset each piece based on distance. You're also able to curve animations using this tool, or tell a collection of particle systems to offset their start and end times for cool chain reactions. The add-on also has a feature to let you make square or round towers, or even wrecking balls with the chain tool, so you can make some nice, straight-up rigid body simulations. Each object will share a material so you can tune the look. My utilities section is pretty large. You can use it to repeat a particle system on the one object or clone that object many times to fire particles in bursts. I've got a camera tracker tool that will automatically follow objects for you and allows you to offset the distance. This keyframeable property allows the camera to slowly sync up or slip out of sync while still facing the target object. You can even rotate around things by offsetting the position. It'll automatically keep its lock. This can also be used to target one object at another, letting you shoot things with particles or rigid bodies. The VOXELIZE tool is a mainline feature that lets you turn a mesh into voxels. Recently, I updated it to allow a bit of size variation so that the pieces in the middle can be larger. This is to reduce object count somewhat for rigid body simulations, letting the middle still have that bulk while cutting down the simulation time. I realized if we did VOXELIZE with booleans, we'd have a really unique way to cut up objects. As you can see here, using a boolean on some large cubes cuts up the object nicely. I used a tall custom object to slice up this torus. This can be used for some neat assembly or destruction animations. You can also use sculpt mode, something that will make blocks in the entire scan zone. Those outside blocks will be regular rigid bodies that fall off. Use the animation tools to offset the time the rigid bodies go from animated to normal, and you can even have it fall off top to bottom or left to right, as I did here. The particle tuner tool will let you tell a group of particle systems to tone it down a bit or add more particles without individually changing all of them. It lets you change the amount of gravity, particle start and end times, and a few other things I found to be helpful. You can see this in action in the burst rocket I made for a tutorial you can find on the channel. There are a ton of unique utilities in the add-on too. Copy one or all animations from one object to a bunch of others. Clone an object or collection at the location of all selected objects, or apply rigid bodies or collision with a single click. It's a tiny bonus that you can tune the weight and change when they go from rigid bodies to animated objects. With the particle stand-in tool and the ability to use particle systems for animation, I feel really proud of the work I've put into this add-on, and I think plenty of people will be interested. Not that my script is super complicated or impressive. It's all about ideas and finding unique ways to play with particles and simulations while tossing in some great options for helping you animate groups of objects. MographFX is formerly known as Carl's Physics and Simulation Expander. It needed a new name to suit its new identity. I've put my heart into this, and I'm grateful if you consider buying it. I'm still working hard on new features and bugs, and I hope you can see why I chose to charge a bit for my add-on. I think it can serve to save a lot of time and unlock new creative options. Subscribe to the channel for updates on the add-on and tutorials on using it.